as the cryptocurrency market is just doing what it actually does every now and then, we now understand the fact that the price action is showing some panic in the market. We can understand that from the volume itself, and a lot of people are trying to take benefit of this. So if you look for the panic side, you do see the panic side. But if you actually look for the positivity, now you try to watch what's optimistic about this market. Because some of these assets are showing you it's about to drop, and the levels can be varying level of support. If it's an optimistic level, it's great, it's good. But if the panic persists, we are now most likely going to this direction. Now, for XRP particularly, we have a scenario where 3-day chart, which is like looking for the macro medium term stuff, gives us the idea that historically speaking, we are right now at that trend line support. Remember when we were higher at this level and the price was close to like 0.5, I was still giving you the idea, I think, that RSI has some room to drop and XRP price is going to come down. And here we are coming back down looking at what the price is showing. But what exactly is happening right now on the weekly chart? Because the weekly narrative right now is so important, because the Bitcoin weekly chart right now is making an engulfing bearish candle. And that kind of shows you like, okay, sellers are increasing. And one of the key thing to notice in the market is look for the volume, because this particular volume candle is serious. You had similar volume to that of last one. So the buyers compared to the sellers, it's almost similar, but the candle dropped way longer than the last one. So the last momentum to the upside and compared to this momentum to the downside, sellers are here. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, when we focus on the volume and the price action, we kind of get the understanding, okay, here we are looking for a trend line, and we understand like that trend line is being broken right now in front of us on a weekly chart, and that kind of gives us a negative idea. So we'll put the red. Now, with this little amount of sellers compared to what we had here, which was higher amount of sellers, but this price barely moved to the downside. So the buyers were really strong here on 20th March. Great. But right now, we have even little amount of sellers. The price is dropping. So either the buyers are so weak, I think that's the case right now, because the market is thinking negative movements. And yes, the possibility does show you are coming back down. So that's where the XRP 3-day chart kind of gives us the clarity, right? The weak form inefficiency of the market, especially here with the crypto and XRP in particular, we can observe that. Each time we come back down to this trend line, we bounce back up from that zone of trend. Now, what does that mean? That's the theory part. It's boring, but weak form inefficiency. The market works based on the price action, history, the price movement, and the volume. So you kind of get the idea, yeah, that's happening. So the supply and demand is working right now on weekly. On a weekly, we are right now watching the fact that XRP is actually giving us a giant candle to the downside, which does not look good as an individual candle. But when we understand that this is what we are looking at, and that leg to the downside, which is the corrective wave action, it usually is a panic drop. Historically speaking, we have seen that. And right now, we're getting that ABC pattern, which we discussed previously. That's happening right now. So in the market, when you are looking at Ether, we just got like a rejection, and that rejection happens to be giving us one clear price action pattern here, kind of showing us like, okay, that's an evening star. You are literally going down, confirming that pattern. So what's more than likely, because it's now at the fact that, okay, the trend is to the upside. That's great. You're still moving to the upside. That's all good. That's all fine. But we need to keep in mind each time you complete this pattern, you have a drop. So where are we really going on, right? So as you zoom out, you kind of get the narrative. Okay, this is just the basic moves. You remove all of that. You look for the weekly pattern of Ether to understand what the altcoin market is about to do. And that's when you come back to the support and the resistance zone. You just extend that. You want to see whether we are going to bounce off from this range. If we do, now that's going to be really bullish. So first thing, note the RSI. I believe around 50 towards the range upper bound here, 57. So if RSI managed to bounce back higher from 50, that is actually a strong sign that bulls are still active in the market. Now, if you get a bear wick to the downside, anything above 48, 47 is still okay, because that's the trend line. So you're coming back to the trend line and moving higher will be positive. It's net positive, because the way we are looking at the market, yeah, we are in a short-term correction. And if you are more interested in knowing, like, okay, what's more likely in the coming days or couple of weeks, yeah, we are looking for the corrective action, the corrective movement. But we also have to understand the fact that each time when you go down like this, drop hard like this, the market actually gives you an idea like, okay, it's kind of oversold right now. We may have to get more supply and then come back down testing that, right? So if that's the case, now what we want to see is the price action going back to test this level. So that's now a short-term chart where you are literally looking for, like, okay, what exactly is happening right now? You had a level which you broke to the downside. You went back up. You retested that range and the price just got rejected. Great. Now you went back to test this support. You stayed there for like 2-3 candles and then broke back to the downside, started trending lower. So while we look at this and say, okay, if that's the case, if you're bouncing, the first level of resistance is going to be here. Now, that's what the price is testing right now. So if we come back to 27,300 and bounce back up, now we want to actually see the price coming to this range. It is going to be interesting to watch the price coming back to test this level. Because at that point, now we can take the argument saying, okay, if that's the trend which I'm observing, the drop here was massive. And if that's an ABC pattern, I'm happy that the market should go back above this range, which is 29,500. So for Bitcoin, if the market actually does that, okay, now we are turning positive. Instead of looking all the way back down to 21,000, most likely we may actually looking for another high. But again, if you look for the macro right now, we would kind of put that narrative and say, like, okay, this is happening. All of this is positive, even if it's actually dropping another 5% and going back up. The current correction has been only 12%. Historically speaking, that's much, much lower than what we get inside a continuation pattern. It used to be like 30% drop. There has been times where we are dropping like 20%. Fine. But this time, it's 12. So if we go back into all these cycles, looking for what exactly the market is doing inside each movement, around 20% drop is actually okay. If not, it should be even tighter and we are trending to the upside if that's the case. Because back then it was a rising channel which was showing us like, okay, there is bearishness forming in the market, and then that breaks to the upside. So now here we are looking at something like this, and we kind of get the idea, okay, we're getting this trend line. Great. And at the same time, we kind of got another trend line in the RSI suggesting I'm going down. So the strength did reduce for the buying side of it. And that is one of the major reasons why on the weekly we are observing this fact. With little amount of sellers, price is dropping. Buyers are being pushed out. The negative sentiment is tightening in the market. And that's when opportunities actually pop up. That's when you should be looking for opportunities. Because when the price goes down, a lot of people think like that's not when I'm going to buy. But in reality, if you are really looking to buy low and sell high, you really want to know where the bottom is going to be, at least close to that. Don't imagine like you're going to get the absolute top or absolute bottom. Say you miss 15 or 15 at the top and bottom, that still gives you 70% in between. That still is a decent ROI, believe me. So if you're eyeing something like that, now is the time to think about, okay, if we're getting a short-term reversal structure, it can be, a 4-hour chart in XRP giving you the idea, okay, I'm starting to trend back up. Now that can be a great signal. So if you are about to look for that, now we came back to retest this range, we're getting rejected, and if we hold on to this level and then bounce back, breaking the level of 0.47, yeah, you are literally watching the price starting a new trend. We need to actually wait and see what the price is actually giving us, because in terms of the divergence, the price literally showed us we are about to drop from some time. We've been actually doing that and we started dropping, which is a great thing. Now we actually understand, yeah, we are dropping, but the same chart now suggests that the RSI is at the support. We may more or less be close to that support level. And if that's true, you shouldn't be going panicking. It's really hard to stay optimistic in a market like this. Completely understand that perspective. I'm in the same market, I'm experiencing the same thing, but I would say that's when you should look for like, okay, what exactly is the market doing? Are there different options in the market? If so, you're looking for the macro patterns to understand like, okay, microstructure, here we are doing this structure. Did that invalidate the macro pattern? Because if you're looking for the macro pattern and you're suggesting like, okay, there is a possibility that XRP as an asset is kind of actually doing a pattern structure where you're literally having a trend line like this, which has been valid for a long period of time, and you usually do this touch and run. So if we are going to repeat that next time, it's going to be above this range. It can be $8, it can be $10, it can be $15, who knows? Because the fact that the RSI showed you something before it happened on a short-term and medium-term narrative, for me, in my eyes, tell me that, okay, the same thing is going to happen in the medium to macro time frame. Now, it depends on how long you have in the market, but the price showing you I'm getting rejected all these times at the trend line and I'm getting supported back at the trend line means a lot, because right now it's not only that. After that particular scenario, you put in a double bottom. Great. After the double bottom, you are now literally making a higher high, higher low structure. So if you actually count this, it actually shows you that the price is going up. It's coming back down. It may test this range. So in the RSI, it's close to 49.50. And then that's where you should be looking for your next leg to the upside. So if that's true, in the RSI, we are looking for the RSI to reach the overbought territory, say above 70% for XRP. That means if RSI is showing us clearly what's happening, and I truly believe it is, because that's what happened in the market last couple of times, that's what's happening in the market. I believe this time the breakout is still valid. You're going to retest that, and if that moves back up, that's the explosion, which is what we are waiting for in the market is that. The time taken for this to come true is the hardest part with what's happening with the US regulators. That's like, okay, now fundamentally we are observing a lot of positive news for, say, European side of it. We're going to see like, the quant is getting in more innovation, but the price action doesn't actually look same, right? If you actually go look at that particular project on the macro, you're like, okay, the news, the narrative, everything's looking great, but I don't think the price action is looking great right now. Unless you actually do a fake out, come back up immediately, this is going to look bad, right? We need to actually get a bounce. If not, it is going to be bad, because on the long-term horizon, understand the fact that it was at $1 to 2 for a long period of time and below $10 for an extra long period of time. So anyone who bought this asset back then is still like 8 to 10x in profit. Say you bought at $12, $13, you're still massively in profit. So when the price action is breaking a critical pattern, this can get volatile. Now the same is true for a lot of different assets in the market. You need to understand what exactly is happening in the fundamental side of this, and you need to look for what exactly is happening in the technical side of things. Now you get an ability to stand on top of this market. It's not like the abnormal profits we are talking about. The average profits in the crypto market does look great. Remember last time the market did like 40x. So if the market can do 45x this time, when people were saying, no, we are not going to do that again because we have done something great last time, 50x, something even better after that at 200x, right? So if people are saying like, okay, that happened last time, this time it's not coming in, look for what happened in the market. Wave 1 and wave 2 looks different. When it starts slow. But when it starts breaking to a new level, which is the price discovery, it goes parabolic. And if you go back in the RSI to understand where all of this started, as soon as you entered the overbought territory, that's when everything changed. If you actually put a horizontal line here to see where exactly is that, look at this. You were just testing the level of resistance. As soon as you broke that level, boom. Now, that's something we are all waiting to see coming true here if we get a bounce from this support and we want to see the price reaching back to 4,500. From here, it's just a 100% move. But how long it's going to take, how the momentum will look like, that's what we're going to follow up in this market. So guys, if you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.